While everyone's talking about NFTs being a bubble and the new ICO, there's another craze out there you need to know about. It's called Polkadot IDOs, and they're the hottest thing going for degen traders. But people are feeling like they could be a gigantic bubble. Is this an opportunity to seize or one to avoid like the plague? Today, we're going to take a look at this space and reveal to you a lot of secrets that the venture capital firms don't want you to know about these IDOs. Let's get it. BitSwap is the hottest new way to trade tokens. Crawling all the top decentralized exchanges, BitSwap gets you the very best price and value for your trades. BitSwap is changing the game. Try it now at bitswapdex.io. Welcome to BitBoy Crypto, the largest crypto channel in all the interwebs. My name is Ben. Every day on this channel, I show you how to make money in cryptocurrency. If you like money in crypto, make sure to subscribe to the channel for your chance to win a full Bitcoin. Details down below. Now, in this video, we're going to be exploring IDOs, what many people consider to be the new ICO of this bull run. We're going to start with mapping out what ICOs were, what IDOs are, and then we're going to weigh out if IDOs are a good opportunity or not. In 2017 and 2018, ICOs took over. The ICO craze was led by Ian Balina, who at the time was considered to be the top coin researcher. Today, Ian leads Tokenmetrics, our coin research side of choice. But back then, he pointed to a lot of huge winners. ICO stands for Initial Coin Offering. These were opportunities for investors to bet on the idea behind a coin, bet on its team, and its given potential before they hit exchanges. Many US citizens were not allowed to take part in these sales. But the term ICO is taboo in crypto circles today because it's got extremely bad connotations. Why? Well, because a lot of people got wrecked. And I can tell you one thing about cryptocurrency and its community: they love a good wreck story and they'll never let you forget about it. But they also seem to forget the successes. The reason for this is pretty simple and obvious. The people who got into these ICOs early made a lot of money. But as the market shifted toward a bear sentiment, people continued piling in on these coins. The majority of ICOs, well, they failed, especially during the bear market. Almost no winners during that time. But even some of the people who did well in 2017 held their coins through 2018 and also ended up getting wrecked. So the amount of people who played the market well is pretty low. That's why on this channel we preach the market cycles and the importance of selling the top. I even apply this logic to the private sales and seed rounds that I get into. Like right now, I'll invest in almost anything. However, as we get closer to the summer, I'll start pulling back from investing in new projects. Because once the bear market hits, these will be the first coins to fail. So let's check out some of the returns from initial coin offerings, or ICOs, in 2017. Haters love to talk about the failed ICOs, but fail to mention NXT with a 1.2 million% return. That's literally the same as Bitcoin from the beginning. IOTA, not too bad also, with a 424,000% return. NEO, 378,000% return. Ethereum, 279,000% return, and so on and so on. ICOs were the riskiest investment of 2017, no questions about it, but also the most beneficial. The problem is there was certainly a point of diminishing returns. When every company in the world thought they could launch an ICO and make bank, suddenly the risk outweighed the rewards. So now we're moving into a new world where NFTs and IDOs represent the same opportunity and risk that ICOs did. We've talked extensively about NFTs, and today we're going to talk about IDOs, or initial DEX offerings. Depending on where you look, you could see them called initial DOT offerings or initial digital offerings, but technically they're initial DEX offerings, meaning tokens that can be bought through a decentralized exchange. Some of the projects that have destroyed the markets that were IDOs included Compound and UMA, huge returns. ICOs and their exchange cousins, IEOs, are put out by centralized entities, meaning they have a vested interest in the launch. But with DEXs, all of the responsibility for success is put on the projects themselves, meaning less opportunity for manipulation. All of this has been enabled by decentralized finance. But here's one really interesting thing about IDOs launched on, let's say, Uniswap. According to the website Crypto Briefing, they say, with Uniswap IDOs, price discovery can only move upwards. If people bought tokens and dumped it back into the pool, the price could only go as low as the IDO price, because the number of tokens in ETH in the pool would simply revert to their initial level. Thus, there was an incentive to be the first buyer. Those who could automate the process were at a clear advantage. And so for most IDOs, we are talking also about Polkadot projects. However, and I think this is where a lot of confusion comes in, most Polkadot projects are actually built on Ethereum. Eventually, as the Polkadot ecosystem becomes more complete and parachains abound, they will take their final form as projects on the Polkadot chain. At the end of the day, though, the IDOs seem to be a better representation of what we call a crypto meritocracy. This is where the best projects get the most investors and money pumped into them. Success of projects is based on how good the projects are and how they attract investors. So here's the question. Are IDOs good investments? There's a sentiment out there that these projects are pump and dump projects. The old pump and dump where influencers talk projects up and then immediately sell all their holdings. You don't even need any evidence to suggest it. It's the greatest and laziest argument that pretty much exists. If you're a crypto YouTuber or a large Twitter personality on Twitter, then you've no doubt been accused of doing this. Any crypto project that gets covered in a video attracts the P&D screamers. I am on the inside, and I will tell you who the dumpers are. They're the VCs, the venture capitalist groups who are heartless and look for opportunities to dump on you. It's a bit of a game of misdirection, if you will. They want you to think that your favorite YouTuber is dumping on their audience. Why? Because they make all the money and have zero risk. They don't have followings to shepherd over or worry if people lost money. They get to invest in these projects, wait for the peaks, and then literally sell 100% of their holdings without repercussions, finger pointing or blame. Meanwhile, influencers are given allocations in return for coverage or awareness. So they're kind of in a tough spot because they get great opportunities, but will eventually get blamed for every price fluctuation due to the VC firms dumping on everyone. These include big names that you probably know. So the question remains, are IDOs a good opportunity? Well, yes and no. You can think of these IDOs in terms of 3 time phrases: initial launch, post-launch, and then a longer time frame. 2 of these 3 time frames will net you success. As mentioned earlier, if you can get into the beginning of the launch, you'll probably make money. But remember, as the project launches, many of the VC firms will sell 100% of their initial allocation they received. So if you jump into many of these projects, let's say after 2 to 6 hours post-launch, you're probably going to get wrecked, as this is the window when a lot of the selling is done. However, there are a ton of great IDO projects that have absolutely crushed it. 3 that I'm invested in right now and believe in long term: Tidal Finance, Dora Factory, and the soon-to-launch Pokemon, which I've called the most interesting project out there right now. I discussed each of these 3 projects earlier today on our live stream and why I love them. Now, if you missed that, you can click the link above. So let me tell you how you can make the most money if you miss the initial launch on these IDO projects. You need to wait. That's right. Wait until they bottom. We saw a similar pattern with many DeFi projects we were invested in over the summer, such as Alliance Block and PlasmaPay. They both launched and plummeted to the ground based on selling pressure. But if you waited for these projects to bottom and then you got in, they're both solid projects with a ton of upside. Here's the chart for Alliance Block, almost 20x from the bottom in only 3 months. I want to quickly touch back though on what we talked about earlier, a crypto meritocracy. You can't just go aping into every project that launches or you're going to stack up a lot of L's. But if you find some gems you deeply believe in after their launch, wait for all the selling pressure to push the projects down and then scoop up the huge opportunity. You won't win them all, but by following this strategy, you will have the opportunity to make big bucks on a lot of them. History has proven this to be true. But what do you think about IDOs? Are these projects that one day we'll look back on as a boom or a bust in crypto? Which ones are you invested in? Let me know down below in the comments. That's all I got. Be blessed. BitBoy out.